What is up guys, Eric here from Real Film Reviews, bringing you a movie review for the new Paul Feig film, Spy. Spy is the most recent action comedy to be released in theaters. It came out yesterday. It is directed by Paul Feig, the same man who directed The Heat and Bridesmaids. I enjoyed Bridesmaids. This movie stars Melissa McCarthy, who actually got an Oscar nomination for her supporting role in Bridesmaids. Since Bridesmaids, I haven't enjoyed much that she has done. I feel like she kind of has played the same role in every movie. And although in this movie she still kind of plays that same similar role, she is very good, and this movie was a pleasant surprise for me. Going into this movie, I did not expect much. I heard Tammy was terrible. I didn't watch it because of how many bad reviews it got. I thought The Heat was okay. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It was kind of just in the middle. Now, this movie has an amazing cast. It's Melissa McCarthy, Rose Byrne, Jude Law, and Jason Statham as the four main characters. There's also side characters played by fairly famous people and all very funny in the movie. This movie was a very pleasant surprise. It was funny. The action in it wasn't actually terrible. It was actually pretty okay. And some of the scenes were actually really clever. Now, this movie was not perfect. It had its flaws. It had a lot of cliche kind of moments in it. Some of the moments were okay. They passed because they did add a twist to it, but some of them were kind of just like, well, yeah, I mean, I kind of expected that to happen because that's what happens in movies like this. The general storyline of this movie is basically Melissa McCarthy is a analyst, like a person that's in the person's earpiece for the CIA, but she is technically an agent, and when an agent goes missing on a mission, she is sent in because she is unrecognizable by the bad guys to try to find out what happens, and obviously craziness goes awry, and she ends up all tied up and everything, and it's funny, and it's good, and you know, all that stuff. Now, Melissa McCarthy, she herself did not impress me in this movie. She kind of did the same thing she does in most of her movies. She was funnier than I found her to be in some of her previous things that she has done since Bridesmaids. Bridesmaids is her best performance, but this movie was actually pretty funny. She was good in it. Her lines were funny. There was a lot of physical comedy that she did very well. The movie was shot well. It's a comedy, so it doesn't need any crazy stuff done, but there were some chase scenes and some more action-type sequences that were handled decently well for an action film. There were some bad parts in directing, but overall the directing was good enough for a comedy, or an action comedy of this sort. Paul Feig did a fine job. The movie was better than I expected. Jason Statham, though, was the one that really blew me away. He was my favorite part of this whole movie. He kind of plays this, like, spy who thinks he's the greatest spy in the world, but he's kind of not, and it's super funny. He describes all these things that he does, and it's just super weird. I'm not going to spoil any things that he says, but Jason Statham is hilarious in this movie. Jude Law was also very good, but I have to say, my favorite part of this film, I love Jason Statham, and he was super good and his dialogue was great, but Rose Byrne in this movie plays just the worst person in the world, and she is so funny in this role, and it's great because she's just this super snarky person in this movie, and it's so hilarious because she just says the most terrible things with no remorse as to saying them, and she doesn't even like laugh at it like it's funny, she just says it like it's serious. Rose Byrne was amazing in this movie. I feel like she is almost an underutilized actress. I think she's getting a lot more jobs now in Hollywood, but ever since I saw her in Neighbors, I knew she had a comedic flair that I felt like people, or that we were kind of missing in Hollywood, and she's so good at just this like dry delivery of these horrid lines, and it's so funny. Now, this movie did not make me laugh to tears. I wasn't like dying in the theater at the end of it. I wasn't like, oh my gosh guys, that movie was so funny. It was a fun time at the theater. It wasn't a comedy that's gonna like go down in history as one of the best or something. It was a pretty funny movie. The script was pretty well written. It had a lot of cliches, which is my main issue with the film, is the cliches that were in it, and there was also some dumb bits in the movie that just kind of were dragged on but never were really funny. Some of the dialogue was a little off, but overall the movie was not terrible. The pros outweigh the cons with this film. If you want a nice fun comedy to see in theaters, I would recommend seeing Spy. If you are not a huge Melissa McCarthy fan, or anything like that, I would say don't go see this, probably never see this, because it is a lot of Melissa McCarthyisms in this film in terms of comedy, but overall, I had a fun time with Spy. I'm gonna give Spy a B-. It's not an amazing comedy, but it's not terrible. It doesn't give you those really loud belly laughs. There were maybe 1 or 2 moments in the movie where I really laughed super hard. A lot of it was little small laughs, and that's how the audience around me kind of reacted as well. It's not a bad movie by any means, it just wasn't great, but it was better than I expected it to be. I was happy with this film compared to what I had seen from Melissa McCarthy since Bridesmaids. If you like a funny little action comedy that you'll forget about in a week, go see Spy. It's a good time while you're in the theater. You can talk about it for a couple days with your friends and make some jokes. It's a decent movie. I'd recommend seeing it if you want a fun time in the theater. As always, guys, I'm Eric. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of the movie, and check out everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and I hope to see you guys later.